Most people think blood sugar problems begin only when someone is diagnosed with diabetes. But the truth is that blood sugar starts changing long before a diagnosis ever appears. One of the biggest clues is what happens after a meal. Every time you eat, especially foods containing carbohydrates, your digestive system breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters the bloodstream and causes blood sugar levels to rise. This is a completely normal process. Your body is designed to handle it. The challenge begins when those rises become larger, faster, and more frequent than your body can comfortably manage. When you're younger, your body is often very efficient at controlling blood sugar. Insulin is released quickly, cells respond effectively, and glucose is moved into muscles and tissues without much difficulty. As the years pass, however, things can begin to change. Many adults become less active, lose muscle mass, gain excess body fat, experience increased stress, and develop reduced insulin sensitivity. All of these factors can influence how the body processes glucose after meals. Imagine eating a typical lunch. Within minutes, glucose begins entering your bloodstream. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin, which acts as a messenger telling cells to absorb that glucose for energy or storage. Ideally, blood sugar rises moderately and then gradually returns to normal. But when insulin sensitivity is reduced, cells become less responsive to insulin's signal. As a result, glucose remains in the bloodstream longer, causing a higher and more prolonged spike. Many people never notice these spikes because they don't always produce obvious symptoms. Others may experience fatigue, brain fog, sleepiness, irritability, increased thirst, or cravings shortly after eating. Some people feel hungry again even though they've recently finished a meal. These signs are often dismissed as normal parts of aging, but they can sometimes reflect fluctuations in blood sugar. The modern lifestyle makes these spikes even more likely. Large portions, highly processed foods, sugary drinks, and long periods of sitting all create conditions that encourage elevated glucose levels after meals. Even foods marketed as healthy can trigger significant blood sugar responses in certain individuals. Oatmeal, fruit smoothies, granola bars, breakfast cereals, and flavored yogurts may seem nutritious, yet they can still cause rapid glucose increases depending on the person and portion size. Another important factor is muscle tissue. Muscles serve as one of the body's largest storage sites for glucose. As adults age, they naturally lose muscle mass unless steps are taken to maintain it. With less muscle available to absorb glucose, blood sugar management can become more challenging. This is one reason why post-meal blood sugar spikes tend to become increasingly common after the age of 50. Sleep quality also plays a significant role. Poor sleep can affect hormones involved in glucose regulation and may temporarily reduce insulin sensitivity. Stress has a similar effect. When stress hormones rise, the liver may release additional glucose into the bloodstream, making it harder to maintain stable blood sugar levels after eating. One of the most fascinating things about the human body is that your muscles do far more than help you move. They play a major role in managing blood sugar levels throughout the day. In fact, muscle tissue is one of the largest consumers of glucose in the body. Every time your muscles contract, whether during exercise or simple movement, they require energy. One of their preferred energy sources is glucose circulating in the bloodstream. Most people think blood sugar control depends entirely on insulin. While insulin is certainly important, muscles have another remarkable ability. When they are actively working, they can absorb glucose directly from the bloodstream at a much higher rate. This means movement itself becomes a powerful tool for managing blood sugar, especially after meals when glucose levels are naturally rising. To understand why this matters, imagine what happens after you eat. As food is digested, glucose enters your bloodstream. Your pancreas releases insulin to help move that glucose into cells. If you remain seated for hours after eating, your muscles demand very little energy. Since they are inactive, they absorb less glucose. As a result, blood sugar may remain elevated for longer periods. Now imagine a different scenario. Shortly after finishing a meal, you begin moving. Your muscles immediately require fuel. To meet this demand, they start pulling glucose from the bloodstream. This process helps reduce the amount of sugar circulating in the blood and supports a healthier metabolic response. Researchers have spent years studying this relationship between movement and glucose control. What they consistently find is that even light activity can have measurable effects on blood sugar. You do not necessarily need intense workouts or long sessions at the gym. Simple movement can activate muscle tissue and encourage glucose uptake. This becomes increasingly important as people age. One of the natural changes associated with aging is a gradual decline in muscle mass, often called age-related muscle loss. Less muscle means fewer places for glucose to be stored and used. At the same time, many adults become less physically active, spending more hours sitting at desks, in cars, or on the couch. These two factors together can create conditions where blood sugar regulation becomes less efficient. Muscle activity also helps improve insulin sensitivity. When muscles are regularly used, they become better at responding to insulin signals. This means the body requires less insulin to move glucose into cells. Better insulin sensitivity is associated with healthier blood sugar levels, improved energy, and better overall metabolic function. Another benefit is that active muscles continue using glucose even after movement stops. The body works to replenish energy stores that were used during activity. This can help support more stable blood sugar levels for hours afterward. Instead of experiencing a sharp spike followed by a rapid drop, glucose levels may remain more balanced and predictable. This relationship between movement and glucose control explains why physically active individuals often have better metabolic health than those who spend most of the day sitting, even when their diets are relatively similar. The muscles are constantly acting as a metabolic engine, helping clear excess glucose from the bloodstream and putting it to productive use. The idea that one simple movement can significantly influence blood sugar may sound surprising at first. Many people assume that meaningful changes in glucose control require strict diets, lengthy workouts, or complex health programs. Yet, research continues to show that something as simple as walking after a meal can have a powerful effect on the way the body handles glucose. The reason lies in timing. After you finish eating, your digestive system begins breaking food down into nutrients. Carbohydrates are converted into glucose, which enters the bloodstream and causes blood sugar levels to rise. This rise is a natural part of digestion, but if glucose accumulates faster than the body can remove it, blood sugar spikes become larger and more prolonged. Walking shortly after a meal helps address this challenge in a direct and practical way. As soon as you begin moving, your muscles increase their demand for energy. To meet that demand, muscle cells start drawing glucose from the bloodstream. This process creates an additional pathway for glucose disposal, reducing the amount of sugar circulating in the blood. What makes walking particularly effective is that it is accessible to almost everyone. Unlike intense exercise programs that may feel intimidating or unrealistic, walking requires no special equipment, no gym membership, and no advanced fitness level. It can be performed indoors, outdoors, in a shopping center, around a neighborhood, or even inside your own home. The timing of the walk is often more important than the intensity. Many experts suggest beginning movement within approximately 30 minutes after finishing a meal. During this period, glucose is actively entering the bloodstream, making it an ideal opportunity for muscles to assist in glucose management. Another advantage of post-meal walking is that it places relatively little stress on the body. High-intensity exercise certainly offers many benefits, but it may not be suitable for everyone, particularly older adults with joint issues, mobility limitations, or chronic health conditions. Walking provides a gentle alternative that can still produce meaningful metabolic improvements. Many people are surprised to learn that the walk does not need to be long. Even a brief period of movement can make a difference. A 10 to 20 minute walk may be enough to activate muscles, encourage glucose uptake, and help moderate blood sugar responses. The goal is not athletic performance. The goal is simply to get the body moving during a critical window after eating. Walking also offers benefits beyond blood sugar control. It supports circulation, encourages digestion, helps reduce prolonged sitting, and may contribute to improved energy levels throughout the day. Some individuals report feeling less sluggish after meals when they adopt a regular post-meal walking habit. Consistency is what transforms this simple action into a powerful health strategy. One walk will not completely change metabolic health overnight. However, repeating the habit after breakfast, lunch, or dinner creates countless opportunities throughout the week to support healthier glucose regulation. Small actions performed consistently often produce greater long-term results than ambitious plans that are difficult to maintain. One of the most common questions people ask after learning about post-meal walking is simple. How long should the walk be, and how fast should you walk to get the greatest benefit? The answer is encouraging because it does not require extreme effort. In fact, many people achieve meaningful improvements in blood sugar management without turning the walk into a strenuous workout. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. The goal is to activate your muscles during the period when glucose is entering your bloodstream. When muscles begin working, they increase their demand for energy and naturally pull more glucose out of circulation. This process can help reduce the size of the blood sugar spike that often follows a meal. Many studies suggest that a walk lasting between 10 and 20 minutes can be highly effective. This duration is long enough to stimulate muscle activity and encourage glucose uptake while remaining practical for most people. A short walk after breakfast, lunch, or dinner is often easier to maintain than a lengthy exercise session that requires special planning. For individuals who have been inactive for a long time, even 5 minutes of movement may provide benefits. The body responds to activity remarkably quickly. A person does not need to be an athlete to experience positive effects. The important factor is creating movement rather than remaining seated immediately after eating. When it comes to walking speed, moderate intensity is usually ideal. You should be able to carry on a conversation while walking, although your breathing may become slightly deeper than normal. This pace encourages muscle engagement without placing excessive strain on the body. If you are gasping for air or struggling to speak, you may be moving faster than necessary for this purpose. Some people assume that faster always means better. While vigorous exercise has many advantages, blood sugar management after meals does not necessarily require maximum effort. A comfortable, sustainable pace often works extremely well because it allows individuals to remain consistent over time. Timing also deserves special attention. Many experts recommend beginning the walk within 30 minutes after finishing a meal. This is when blood sugar is starting to rise and when muscles can be particularly helpful in absorbing excess glucose. Waiting several hours may reduce some of the unique benefits associated with post-meal activity. For those with mobility limitations, alternatives can still be effective. Gentle marching in place, walking around the house, climbing stairs slowly, or performing light household tasks may activate muscles and encourage glucose use. The principle remains the same. Movement helps muscles draw glucose from the bloodstream. Another important consideration is comfort. Supportive footwear, safe walking surfaces, and an enjoyable environment can make the habit easier to maintain. Some people prefer walking outdoors, while others enjoy indoor walking routines, shopping centers, or treadmills. The best choice is often the one that fits naturally into daily life. The most effective walking plan is usually the one that becomes automatic. Rather than viewing the walk as another task on a long to-do list, many people find success by linking it directly to meals, turning movement into a regular part of the eating routine. Many people discover the benefits of walking after meals and immediately assume that any movement will automatically improve blood sugar control. While post-meal activity can be highly effective, certain common mistakes can reduce its impact or even eliminate many of the potential benefits. Understanding these mistakes can help you get the most from this simple habit. One of the most frequent mistakes is waiting too long before moving. Some people finish a meal and remain seated for 1 or 2 hours before deciding to take a walk. Although any movement is generally better than none, the greatest opportunity often occurs shortly after eating. This is when glucose is actively entering the bloodstream and when muscles can help absorb it more efficiently. Delaying activity may mean missing this important window. Another common mistake is assuming that a single long workout later in the day can completely compensate for hours of inactivity after meals. Regular exercise is extremely valuable, but blood sugar responses are influenced by what happens immediately following food consumption. A person may exercise in the morning, yet still experience significant glucose spikes if they remain sedentary after lunch and dinner. Portion size is another factor that many people overlook. Walking after a meal can help manage blood sugar, but it is not a license to eat unlimited amounts of highly processed foods. Extremely large meals can create glucose loads that exceed what a short walk can comfortably offset. Movement works best as part of an overall healthy lifestyle rather than as a solution for every dietary choice. Some individuals also make the mistake of walking too intensely. They believe they must exercise at maximum effort to achieve results. In reality, a comfortable, sustainable pace is often sufficient. Pushing too hard may lead to fatigue, discomfort, or an increased likelihood of abandoning the habit altogether. Consistency usually produces greater benefits than occasional bursts of extreme effort. Another mistake involves underestimating the importance of hydration. Proper hydration supports circulation, muscle function, and overall metabolic processes. While drinking water is not a cure for blood sugar issues, Dehydration can make physical activity feel more difficult and may affect how the body responds to exercise. Many adults unknowingly spend the remainder of the day sitting for prolonged periods despite taking a short post-meal walk. While that walk is beneficial, extended sedentary behavior can still negatively influence metabolic health. Frequent movement throughout the day often works together with post-meal walking to support better glucose regulation. Sleep is another factor that is commonly ignored. Someone may faithfully walk after every meal, but consistently get poor quality sleep. Inadequate sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity and make blood sugar management more difficult. This means that healthy movement habits and healthy sleep habits often work best when combined. Finally, many people expect immediate dramatic results and become discouraged when they do not notice major changes within a few days. Blood sugar regulation is influenced by multiple factors, including age, body composition, diet, activity levels, stress, and overall health. Sustainable improvements typically develop through repeated daily actions rather than overnight transformations. Creating a sustainable daily routine is often the difference between short-term improvement and long-term success. Many people spend years searching for complicated solutions to blood sugar management, only to discover that consistency with simple habits produces the greatest results. The challenge is not usually understanding what to do. The challenge is turning healthy actions into behaviors that happen automatically, day after day. One reason post-meal walking is so powerful is that it can be attached to an activity that already occurs regularly. Most people eat meals every day without needing reminders. By connecting movement directly to meals, you create a natural trigger for action. Instead of asking yourself when you should exercise, the meal itself becomes the reminder. This approach reduces the need for motivation. Motivation can change from day to day. Some mornings you feel energized and ready to take action. Other days you feel tired, busy, or distracted. Habits are different because they rely less on emotions and more on routine. When walking becomes something you simply do after eating, it requires less mental effort. Starting small is often the most effective strategy. Many people make the mistake of creating ambitious plans that are difficult to maintain. They decide to walk for an hour after every meal, only to discover that the schedule is unrealistic. After missing a few days, they become discouraged and quit entirely. A shorter walk that can be maintained consistently often delivers greater long-term benefits than a perfect plan that lasts only a week. Flexibility is equally important. Life does not always follow a predictable schedule. Some days you may have plenty of time for a 20-minute walk. Other days you may only have 5 minutes available. Rather than skipping movement altogether, it is often better to adapt. A brief walk around the house, a few trips up and down the stairs, or several minutes of gentle movement can help maintain the habit. Tracking progress can also be helpful. Some individuals use step counters, fitness watches, or simple journals to monitor their consistency. The purpose is not perfection. The goal is awareness. Seeing a record of regular movement can provide encouragement and reinforce positive behaviors. Social support can make routines easier to maintain. Walking with a spouse, friend, family member, or neighbor can transform exercise into an enjoyable daily activity. Conversation often makes the time pass quickly while providing additional emotional benefits. Another advantage of building a post-meal walking routine is that it often leads to other healthy behaviors. People who begin moving regularly frequently become more aware of food choices, hydration, sleep quality, and stress management. One positive habit often creates momentum for additional improvements. Over time, these small actions accumulate. A 10 or 15-minute walk may seem insignificant on a single day, but when repeated week after week and month after month, it represents hundreds of opportunities to support healthier blood sugar levels, better energy, improved metabolic function, and a more active lifestyle during the years ahead.